We are only hours away until RuneScape 3 launches its first ever leagues. This is Catalyst Leagues. Check out the tile drop. Ooh. And with everything about this leagues having been revealed thus far, I hope y'all have been finalizing your plans, because you know I have, and it's time for me to start talking about this. If this is your first time hearing about leagues, this is a 2-month event period where you're basically given a task list and a choice of broken ass perks to smash through them all. Each of these reveals here are called relics. They're basically a perk or a power up that excels in certain areas of the game, so it's up to you to slot them in together and find your strategy. Now, if this isn't your first time and you've been following along, I hope that these reveals hasn't really thrown a spanner in the works. The most important thing about deciding a relic, and this is something that I take to heart and I'm basing my whole entire build of, is how much context matters and how context contextualizes your decision making. There are clearly some relics that are just much better than its competition, but due to circumstances with where you're able to play or how you're able to play, some of those relics may be a better choice. Let's take this last relic here that was revealed as an example. This is Everlasting Fate. It is a combat-oriented relic. For what it's worth, it's really powerful. It provides sustain, immortality, like just invulnerability to everything, and it even has a one-up effect, which is just crazy stuff. But the other options going along with it are more offensive-oriented. As Everlasting Fate is the most defensive option, you got two other options that are just more stronger in the DPS department. So I've seen this relic relegated to noob trap status, which I don't believe is true at all. There was another video that I saw that recommended this relic if accessibility is a concern. So say you're away from home or you're injured, then this will be the easiest relic to choose. So as you can see here, your context matters. And for me, I know that I'm going to be leading a very busy life heading into this leagues. Especially since I'm making a video about this topic, and I'm not sure how many videos I'll be able to make. I mean, let me tell you, this is not my first take making this video. In fact, one of the first takes, I took a Benadryl, and that was not a good idea. I had these bug bites that I got from a previous trip, and I had them for about 2 weeks, and they've been bothering me. So this leads up to context, because I'm going on another trip which will bleed through the run of this leagues, a 2-week trip. Not to mention I got a social life and a work life that I want to maintain as well. This is my context, and this is what influences the relics that I'll be choosing. And my goal and strategy moving forwards is I want to have a pretty chill time with this leagues. If you're only interested in which of the relics that I am choosing, then let me circle them out for you, because after this, I'm going to talk about my own personal goals, and then I'll go into each entire of these relic picks in more detail. First, I'm going to pick Divine Woodcutter, and then Golden Footed, Fairy's Flight, Production Master, Soulborn, Banker's Note, and I don't know, one of these two. But I'm mostly leaning into Everlasting Fate. Yes. This is a very strange assortment of relics. I feel that too. When I'm looking at all these other people's videos of which relics they're picking, I mean, they look a little bit more like this. You know, like everyone's picks looks like this. So, yeah, stay tuned if you really want to see why I'm choosing this stuff. I'm definitely going to lead a more skilling type playstyle. So as the days went on, I didn't feel like my plan wavered. I selected the relic that I wanted. If there was a relic that really vibed with me, then I should probably choose it because it will be fun and it will work towards my goals. But that was until they revealed the tier passives as well. So each tier of relic got a passive that went along with it, which is absolutely crazy correct. They gave us so much stuff here. You can all treat these like their own little relics. This one in particular in tier 7 changed so much of the game for me. Advanced Time is an incredible spell. Maybe take a look right over here. What this does, for any sort of time gated activity, you can accelerate it, complete them instantly. And if you're given an unlimited amount, oh man. Okay, now listen here. When it comes to giving me an inch, I can take it to a mile. My favorite thing about leagues is abusing whatever they give me. I love cheesing the game. That is the most fun thing ever, and I gotta kind of associate that with my plan a little too. You know, the great thing about RuneScape 3's first leagues is how you have the entirety of the game available for you, meaning that you have a pretty gigantic task list. If you're looking at the previous leagues in old school RuneScape, you were region locked, meaning that you were a lot more limited. So being able to have all the game there means I should be able to comfortably lead a skilling lifestyle. If we go to the trophies here, this is a Dragon Cup. This requires 60,000 points, and that I heard was like 55% of the tasks. And because I'll be skilling a lot, I'm definitely going to be maxing as well. And this is to say that I'm not going to be scared of PvMing content. I will tackle whatever I can whenever I'm ready, just to earn the points to get there. I'll have that thing in my hands in no time. Looking at the selection of my relics this go around, it seems to mirror my own choices in the last league's Raging Echoes leagues. So I was thinking maybe I could work towards a pointless grind, sure, but it'll be a very fun grind. In the Raging Echoes leagues, if I go to the areas, I selected the Kandarin, Wilderness, and Fremnik regions, and if we look into this, there was an increased drop rate for dragon equipment. You have Dragon Full Helm, the Dragon Chain Body, and Kandarin. If I go to the Wilderness, we got the Dragon Boots as well. And from the unlocks the region of Mistalin, the Litgren Vault, which allows me access to the Plate Body and the Kite Shield. So if this means anything, I became the Dragon Man in old school RuneScape's Raging Echoes leagues. I can do something similar in Callous leagues as well. So what bosses should I focus on? The big one is Queen Black Dragon. This boss has a trophy room, I believe, right? Like a rewards room. So I can't really AFK this boss. But one of her big drops is the Dragonbone upgrade kit. I can get myself a full set of Dragonbone armor, which looks dope. But then I should probably run 2 sets of it too, no? So I was thinking I will become the Dragon Man ×2, and I'll have the classic red metal and the Dragonbone. Another big drop from Queen Black Dragon is the Dragon Kite Shield. And I also want to get it ornamented, meaning that I got a King Black Dragon grind going on as well. And if I grind King Black Dragon, this one's great because this is one of those bosses where I can AFK a lot, right? Though I'm not sure if the ornament kit itself will have increased drop rates. Now in order to use the Dragonbone stuff, I have to source the dragon equipment, right? Knowing tormented demons, oh geez, they look like that still? These guys drop the chunks needed for the dragon full plate body. Oh man, this is gonna be a hard grind. Not to mention I need while Gutic sleeps, and this quest will not be auto-completed. And then the Dragon Full Helm, don't worry, I can grind the Abomination. This is actually a boss that I want to grind a lot. I do like this boss because it's got this awesome battle theme which reminds me a lot of a Terraria track. This guy drops the Dragon Full Helm in a pretty reasonable rate, so I can get 2 full helms easily. Not to mention I can get myself 2 plate skirts. So pretty much everything is handled for the dragon front. If I am extra saucy though, I can get these ornament kitted as well. Again, the ornament kits themselves require like what, completing just elite clues? Yeah, I'm pretty sure every single piece of the dragon armor comes from elite clues. Let me just double check real quick. And the biggest issue is I won't really find the time to do clues, and I'm not selecting the clues relic. So we'll see how close I can get to getting this look. Because man, if I compare that with the Dragonbone look, alright, I got the leak strip locked down, I'd be happy. Anyways, I think this gives me a lot to work towards. And if anything, maybe I'll focus on a lot of the skilling bosses and big game hunter, since if I'm going to be skilling focused, I might as well master those as well. Now that I covered my objectives, let's package that away for now so I can talk about the relics that I'll be picking through this leaks. Starting with the first relic here in the Gathering Relics. As you know, I'll be picking Divine Woodcutter, and I'll be going through a lot of these relics in a bunch of detail, but in this tier especially, I'll be talking mostly about Divine Woodcutter in comparison to Excavator, since Excavator is the #1 pick. I mean, for a lot of people, this is the relic choice that outcompetes all of the other choices. For me, I'm choosing this relic for the divination aspects. The woodcutting stuff isn't great. If you want to compare the woodcutting stuff to Excavator in its entirety, like, Excavator definitely blows it out of the water. Archaeology is a super slow skill to train on an Iron Man. The fact that there's so many time saves, like the soul screener, collecting 5 times as many chronotes to advance the skill even further. Not to mention how sweet the deal can be in the first passive tier. You can see that the whole entire archaeology shop is available. So with a 4 times experience multiplier, a lot of people that pick this relic should be able to upgrade a lot of stuff. The icing on the cake for a lot of people is also the mining stuff, so you can train 3 skills at once. Meanwhile, with woodcutting, not as many. But despite this, what Divine Woodcutter provides for me is what exactly that I want. Energy springs, when you're collecting from them, will last 60 seconds longer, which is massive, because for me, I find mining and archaeology as provided by Excavator are very AFK and chill skills. Any of the sort of upgrades from archaeology I can just push aside. Fishing and hunting, well, they're pretty chill too. Hunting is definitely doable. It's one skill that I don't really have to pay a lot of attention to. I feel Divination can be more AFKable. And this is what we get at the start. Divine Woodcutter can be a lot better with future upgrades. If you go back to the passives list here, right in tier 4, we get the Gate of Olindus. This boss is a scaling boss, so it should be accessible pretty much at any level, you know, as long as you meet the requirements. If I look up the Gate of Olindus and go straight to the drops, there are 3 drops that I want especially. There's the Eclipse Soul Prayer Codex. There's a Memory Dozer, or Dozier. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'll figure it out by the time the list comes out. And this is a Divination Scaling Offhand. When stacked up with the Divine Woodcutter, we get even more AFK time, which also seems to stack with the Divination Cape too. So if I'm going for level 120 Divination, this is the perfect item to collect. The 15% chance to receive double memories too, I believe also kind of stacks and synergizes a little bit more with Divine Woodcutter. As over here, we get double divine energy from springs and memory conversions. There's also a bunch of other effects too, just makes training the skills super easy. So this is my number 1 pick from the Gate of Olindus. The other one, right over here, is the Runic Attuner. When Runecrafting, I can get some magical thread so I can create some rune pouches. Sorry, I burped. And Runecrafting will be a really big part of my plan moving forwards. Another great thing, collecting chronological fragments early means I'm getting a head start in my hunter skill too. Now let's talk about woodcutting, because this can definitely be a lot better. If mining and crafting can be done and just processing all this stuff, how come we can't do that with the woodcutting? And I know how exactly the woodcutting stuff works, because in the Raging Echoes leagues, I chose Lumberjack right here in the relics. Let me just pop onto it. Here you can fletch logs into arrow shafts, and this was great for me because I really liked fletching arrows while doing clues. But then by the end of the leagues, I had a bunch of arrow shafts that I couldn't really process because you have to feather them before you can add arrowheads. And the amount of fletching experience you get from chopping logs, turning them into arrow shafts isn't quite a lot. This ended up being a relic that I regretted choosing in this leagues, the only one. And compared to his other options, I keep hearing how Lumberjack could have just done more, but it didn't. And if we look back at Catalyst leagues, this woodcutting relic does even less. It does say a level 100 hatchet. I don't know how good that means. In Raging Echoes, there will be a 50% chance to succeed in earning a log. I mean, you get a bunch of logs and you can spawn a bunch of forestry events as well. But hey, you know, at least the logs that I'm getting from Catalyst leagues will be pretty nice. Now, as to why I picked Lumberjack, by the way, I'll just get it out of the way quickly. Due to my region picks this leagues, I didn't have great woodcutting options, you know, for training. And I don't really like training woodcutting, but I find it tolerable just because woodcutting is AFK. So it was an unironic reason to select the Lumberjack relic, and this relic as well is also an unironic pick for me. So here's something interesting. One thing I noticed about archaeology is how there aren't many tasks associated with it. So like if I go to the task list and search up archaeology, here's the archaeology tutorial. Anyone can do that. And there's 1, 2, 3 tasks in the easy and medium tier. So if you were selecting an excavator, then you can escape the early game still just by mining, because there's a lot of like mining tasks associated with it for some reason. Like there's a lot, as you saw there. Why is there so many things? Or if we just mine stuff in general, like, oh yeah, a bunch of tasks here as well. Compared to like woodcutting, you get 3 things specifically tied to woodcutting. If you chop a log, there's like some basic stuff in the beginning, so that's good too. So with Divine Woodcutter, I mean, it's nice that I'm collecting the logs because, like I said, logs are used for a lot of skills. One last thing that I gotta say, I know with archaeology you can attain relics, like archaeology relics, which will give the passes from these 2 relics here. I think there's a huge oversight there, and let me just kind of dive into it. And if you scroll down, here's the fire making and here's the cooking passives, right? To unlock the ability to burn logs that you cut, you have some pretty steep requirements. 79 fire making, meaning you have to train the skill anyways, with a quest and a minigame to earn the flame gloves. And then here, level 99 archaeology, you have to max the skill first before you can earn this. Like at that point, you guys should just find different methods. Well, anyways, going back to tier 1 of these relics, I do have plans for Divination and Divine Energy in the future. Divination is also a skill that I'll need due to my relic picks. And with how much spare time I can afford to play this leagues, I think I can justify selecting Divine Woodcutter enough. Moving on to the second tier, I'm selecting Golden Footed, because in the Raging Echoes League, I picked the Agility Relic Corner Cutter as well. We're going to spend a lot of time comparing these two relics here, from Raging Echoes to this leagues. From my experience, not having to spend any time trading agility was super nice, so I'll do it again. And this time, Golden Footed is just a better relic. Like if we look here, we get agility experience every 10 ticks, so like a guaranteed 6 seconds. I don't remember getting agility experience that quickly with Corner Cutter, so already that is a huge boost. Also, one thing about Corner Cutter, for it being a tier 2 relic, it was so nice getting money really early on. Let's pop on over to Raging Echoes Leagues and show you that I didn't pick Corner Cutter. Hello? Maybe I wanted Friendly Forager the first time around. Oh, that's interesting. Interesting how your plans can change just like that. I ended up picking up Corner Cutter. So yeah, the money was good. As you can see, it will spawn 10,000 coins with every Marks of Grace, which is a very occasional spawn. These 10,000 coins are multiplied by the minigame multiplier passes that you'll get, so you'll eventually get 160,000 coins on an occasion. And if you complete agility laps that are very quick, you would end up getting a bunch of money. So I did the Apatoll agility course that can be completed very quickly, and I ended up making 1 million. Well, let's look over here. Not these relics. This relic, Golden Footed, which will earn you 1,000 coins per agility level. So say that you're level 60 agility, you're earning 60,000 per lap. That's a lot of GP considering that there are a bunch of courses in the scene that you can complete pretty quickly. Take a look at the Apatoll lap that I just mentioned. This course can be completed so quickly. If I scroll down here, it says right there, 45 seconds per lap. Yeah, so if I'm making like 1 million with Corner Cutter, I'll be making millions this leagues pretty early on. And this is a very good thing for me because I never understood early money making, especially as an Iron Man. This is my first Iron Man in RuneScape 3, so I'm not gonna know anything, huh? Now, compared to the competition, Farming Frenzy is a go-to choice for many people. But as a tier 1 passive, if we go back to this, right here, all farming crops will grow 5 times faster, meaning that if I do an herb run, it could be finished in like 15 minutes. This will not be my first rodeo doing farm runs. I'm pretty accustomed to it. If you look down here, Raging Echoes once more, I selected the Pocket Kingdom. I was considering Overgrown, huh? Overgrown is just like Farming Frenzy too. I selected the Pocket Kingdom relic, and so I was sourcing a bunch of seeds and doing farm runs. Now that I think about it, with how I picked agility here, and also picking Lumberjack, my Catalyst Leagues experience is looking a lot more like Raging Echoes the last leagues. But you know. So anyways, tier 3, moving on to this relic here. I'm selecting Fairy's Flight just to make those aforementioned farming runs so much easier. And while removing the need for Farming Frenzy with Fairy's Flight, the overworld locations, those teleports aren't great, but still a few pretty good ones. Let's take a look right over here. Here in Ardougne City Center, you got the Jade Vine, so this one's a pretty nice one to go to. There's also this one here, Typo 1i, which puts you right next to a prayer altar. There's this pretty strange one here in the Wilderness Ruins. I think that one's pretty interesting. And if you look at Fairy Rings, okay, these still allow you to get to places that are pretty hard to travel or access. If we go all the way down to the wiki bottom, there's a big map here. Some key locations that I like are like Piscatoris or Field of Pills. Yeah, some hard locations. There's a bunch of places in Karamja that you can travel to, same as Mauritania, and access to a bunch of dungeons as well, like Polyport Dungeon, Move Down, Calphite Cave. There's another one, Mudscaper Point. So these are still pretty decent enough. Oh yeah, and the Furnax Slayer Cave. My number one favorite location, especially, is right here in Miscellanea. Yeah, this one's great. So if you know which fairy rings to travel to, they're good, but you mostly will be just traveling through with the 2 leprechauns around in the area. And if you look at this map here, there's also the spirit trees that you can teleport to as well. There's not a lot of great ones, but hey, there's one here in Port Sarim. I don't know if you have to plant it first to use it, but it puts you right next to player own ports. And in the Treedom Stronghold, of course, there's one super good one here, since it puts you right next to a summoning obelisk, so you can renew your summoning points. Leaning more into the farming aspects, I mean, there are still some upgrades you can get for farming. So you look at speedy growth here. This upgrade removes the first cycle of your herb patches, so it will reduce your total time down to 4 minutes. That is pretty good for me because I don't even have to think about doing herb runs. If I run out of herbs or short of them, then I can just go get them when I need them. If I need a more reliable way to source herbs without a lot of TDM, I mean, hey, we can go back to the fairy rings here. Right here in Miscellanea, I can use advanced time to source those farming seeds or those herbs, and then I'll just basically have a Pocket Kingdom experience. Also, I can just advance time like the Manor Farm as well, since you can raise your animals here, and over here in Anachronia, the dinosaurs too, just getting huge gains right over there. On to the next tier of relics, we are looking into tier 4, and I'm selecting Production Master for this one. I almost call it Production Project just because the +6 boost to the skills here. But anyways, Production Master will help me cut my time in half so I can keep up with my schedule and get back to gathering faster. If I'm going to be spending a lot more time doing archaeology and mining anyways, and that will take me a lot more time, then I need to balance that out with Production Master. That should help so much process all my goods so that I can manage my time better. Now there is a problem though with Production Master. It's a good problem to have, but still one that's a problem for me. Say, if I want to AFK a lot, I'm unfortunately going to need to spend a lot more attention due to the infinite supply of urns here. Urns, I'm also assuming, is including the gathering urns like farming, fishing, mining, and this stuff is going to start filling my inventory a lot more, and I'm going to have to put my ore, for example, or my fish away more and send those urns out. Not to mention, there's a bunch of spears that will start spawning here too. The Saren spears, Divine Blessings, right? All these guys. I'm scared to know how much of this stuff is going to appear on my screen. It's going to make it very hard for me not to feel tempted but to click on them. So to solve this issue, especially if I want to AFK more, I can make porters. This is especially true since I have the Divine Woodcutter. I should be able to have a lot of energy to make those porters. Alternatively, what I can also do is get those engrams for the Hall of Memories. There's one where if you start doing your hunter stuffs, you can collect memory shards, and memory shards can make divine porters. Let me show you what I mean. So let's look up memory shards. And right here we can make porters. At level 68, you can create this tier of a porter. Porters to send away stuff that I gather straight to the bank. And those are 20 items that I can send. The amount of memory shards I need to create is only 16. Alright, so if I get myself the Hunter one, Sword of Edicts, I know that when I'm starting my Divination stuff, I'll be getting Hunter jump started thanks to the Chronicles that I'm collecting. And due to Golden Foot as well, getting my passive agility, I can start doing butterflies a lot more immediately. So that way, I am Sora semi-AFKing butterflies, soon charming mobs, getting a bunch of memory shards, and then creating a bunch of porters, which I'll just feed back into mining and archaeology as well. So this solves my problem, and I can enjoy AFKing a lot more faster. Next up in tier 5, we have to select a combat style, and I'm selecting Soulborn, because Necromancy is the easiest path. That's what I hear. The talent tree just gets fully unlocked, so I don't have to even worry about that. Gear progression is rather linear and simple, so if I just select Necromancy, it will give me an easier time, not to mention that the skill will give me the sustainability and survivability. One really interesting part here is the 100% hit chance, meaning that I can lean into a meme tank build. So let's see what I can do with this. So let's check the first Necromancer. Right here, right? Rose is the first Necromancer. It says that there's a set bonus and I only need 2 pieces of it, in which it will increase my basic damage by 7%. So let's say I only get like the foot wraps and the hand wraps for this. What I could then do is combine it with the spell Animate Dead. What this spell allows me to do is gives me that flat defense and damage reduction. So what this means is I have to look into armors as well. First one that comes to mind is Starbloom. So if we look up Starbloom like +5, These pieces here gives quite a bit of armor and tankiness with really high life points. It might be really hard creating Star Bloom, however. Like, how am I going to source the seeds? Of all the content that I'm really interested in doing, there's pickpocketing. I can pickpocket gnomes. I could pickpocket master gardeners too. In terms of like bossing content that I want to do too, there's also Croesus. Judging by how hard it is to even source the seeds anyways, this will be a very long-term project. And since I just mentioned Croesus as well, he does drop some tank armor. Let's look into that one. Right here, we got the Crypt Bloom armor. Let's complete it. And we have some armor that is, well, is it tankier than Star Bloom? It's the same tankiness, it just doesn't provide as many life points as Star Bloom does. This one might be easier to find as well, especially if I'm going to be doing a lot of Croesus anyways, as it's a skilling boss. I also can earn other seeds from Croesus as well, so the Star Bloom is just a byproduct of it, and might as well just make the armors anyways, so I collect both this Crypt Bloom and the Star Bloom stiffs. But there's also a set of Mage Tank armor that is easier to attain as well, especially when you're spamming Advanced Time. So with Chi that you can get from player-owned ports, you can get yourself a Sea Singer's robe. That's the whole entire set here. And while it's not as good as the previous armors, I imagine this will be a lot easier to get, especially with a gigantic stock of time runes. There is a 90 level runecrafting requirement in order to attain this stuff, but with time runes needing 100 runecrafting anyways, alright, this is just kind of part of the progression. So with these mage tank options in order and animate dead, I think I can also combine these like greater bone shield, which I can use with animate dead, and thus I can use defensive abilities, and there are a few good ones. And I can also make it easier on myself if say that I hunt for a spectral spiritual shield. Since this is a necromancy shield that adds no negatives too, I can just quick swap to it and use a defensive ability. Though I know that this grind will be pretty difficult to get, like, oh, look at the drop rate of that thing. Maybe this is like one of the last things that I will look for. Now, on to tier 6, which is a 1v1. I was really split between both of these relics. I really wanted to try Banker's Note because I missed out on it on the last 2 times. And here is a lot more interesting because banking is accessible anywhere, and I'll talk more about that part too. So I am choosing Banker's Note, and what leads me more into it is when I saw like Advanced Time being a passive, I just got pushed over. And now I want to make Runecrafting a main quest for me. If I can accelerate through Runecrafting, then I can get those time runes that I need and just do a lot of dumb stuff. So I was planning to source my pure essence, and I'll craft it all at ZMI and just speed through it thanks to Banker's Note. Since I'm doing this stuff at ZMI, I won't really need the Wild Runes perk. Also, another great thing while doing it at ZMI, and let me just look up time runes real quick, is that if you see over here, if you're crafted over at the Orania Runecrafting Altar, ZMI, they have a chance to be made without needing the level requirement of 100. So I might have a really decent stack of time runes, and I can start doing some stuff early with it. Let me go to the Advanced Time spell, for example, and let's scroll down to the Dream of Aya. So this here, say I get 85 Runecrafting and 74 Archaeology, which is probably the hardest requirement, but thankfully it's only 74 Archaeology. I don't think it'll be very hard to get to that at all. I can then start sourcing a lot of my crafting experience from the Dream of Aya. That way, any sort of crafting component I get, I can save it and disassemble it for components for my invention, because I don't have the infinite stuff from Profession anymore. Now 75 crafting is a hard requirement for me to use the skilling station here, but I should be able to get a lot of that from the gate anyways, and this may just be my endgame crafting method. Now about Archaeology that I mentioned before, Banker's Note should help so much with that too, because sorting through my inventory is no longer an issue, and Production Master, one of those skills that was giving me an issue before previously with all the urns filling up my inventory, that's not going to be a problem as well, since, hey, now I have infinite inventory space due to Banker's Note. Another great synergy between Banker's Note and Production Master is how I can just one-click process everything and then note it and then do it all over again. So anyways, I mentioned gathering and being able to just sort my inventory that way. I'll still need porters to AFK, but an idea I have is if I can just have a bunch of porters noted, I can just unnote them and use them. Well, let me check. Can they actually be unnoted? It is something that can be noted. So what I can then do is, alright, I have a bunch of porters in my inventory. I can unnote them freely whenever I need them, so I can just AFK some more and AFK even longer. Now, back to the banking part. Banking anywhere is really interesting and would decrease the need for War's Retreat. So I know the vice versa is often said, oh, you don't need this relic because you have War's Retreat. Well, I I wouldn't need War's Retreat anyways if I could bank anywhere. Something that was so nice about the Crystal of Memories. Take a look at Raging Echoes. This right over here, the Crystal of Echoes, will allow you to save your spot, and then you can teleport away somewhere, like to a bank to grab something, and then you can go back to where you are. Essentially, this should be the same thing with Banker's Note. If I forget something, I can just bank at the spot, grab my item, and I don't have to backtrack anywhere. I can also preset my items anywhere, so I can skill anywhere as well. Looking into the Banker's Note item, a very incomplete page, using the note allows access to the player's bank from almost anywhere in the world. Has me kind of thinking, what if I can smuggle the Banker's Note into minigames? So take a look at the passives here in Tier 2. Thaler quantity earned by 4 times. Thaler being a sort of currency you can earn from playing minigames. I don't think there'd be too many people playing minigames in leagues, but this is an interesting idea. So let's kind of look at Thaler right now. So here you get a gigantic list of minigames that are spotlighted, and there aren't too many minigames kind of worth it. Castle Wars is one though because of Ardong achievements. But imagine being able to smuggle it into pest control. Now one thing that really sucks about this, like let's go to the rewards. There are achievement rewards that you can get from playing pest control. But this stuff is locked away from Iron Men. They did this in Raging Echoes last time too as well. Because can you imagine this? You're playing pest control, you put it all into summoning, you have 100 points that you're putting at once, giving you a 10% bonus. And then you have like 16 times the experience. So isn't that like over 800,000 summoning experience from 100 points? Not to mention, if I'm at pest control, I could just be skilling while defending the Void Knight. That'd be kind of funny. So aside from that, there aren't really any minigames that I can see it being possible to smuggle stuff in with Banker's Note, or even smuggling the item in, except Fishing Trawler. So say that Fishing Trawler gets spotlighted, and now I'm earning Thaler. I can easily solo Fishing Trawler, and I can skill while doing it during downtimes where there's nothing happening. This will be very, very sweaty. But hey, at the least bit, I am getting Thaler. When we're looking at the point rewards, there isn't anything worth buying really. So it's interesting that we're getting an increase here. I think the best part though, for me at least, is the patch bombs. Definitely the best thing that's worth buying. Patch bombs while I'm doing farming runs will allow me to just nuke the patches. So during herb runs, I can just go up to something, bomb it, and I can get all my herbs, and I'll just plant under a seed. And this is something that's really good before getting the farming cape. Especially more so, the liquid patch bomb is something you can make with invention, but I'll need 104 invention. So the easiest way I can source these sort of patch bombs, I think it's just from earning Thaler, or if I can afford it as well, just buy it from this shop. To finalize my thoughts about Thaler as well, there is Conquest 2, which is a 1v1 like chess mode. It'd be really funny if you brought in an alt and you just grinded this out. So this is perhaps my most interesting idea when it comes to Banker's Note, and just being allowed to bank anywhere, do anything with Banker's Note, standard mini game skill and earn Thaler. Yeah, that is definitely my most interesting idea, all just for patch bombs because I don't have the invention for it. I'm sure I'll think of more strats later on. Who knows, maybe even the summoning relic. See if that works as production master, which probably won't. That relic being you can create one pouch at a time instead of a whole entire inventory, and then just note them all and keep on doing it. That'd be a very AFK and chill method of summoning. I think that'd be nice, especially since it saves on the charms. The last relic pick of the day, tier 7, our final combat relic, is a choice between Ascension and Everlasting Fate. For me, I was selecting Ascension at first because it has these effects that reminds me of roguelike elements, like tier effects in Isaac, and understanding what these are like. Oh my god, random effects can become busted very, very quickly. Not to mention, Ascension is just a flat DPS boost, and I'm very familiar with that. I'm actually more preferring of DPS boosts. If we go back to Raging Echoes, it's most similar to like Guardian, right? Except without all the wacky effects and screen tearing things. But then the more I thought about it, and especially since we got Everlasting Fate as a relic, it gets me thinking a little bit. Like first of all, Everlasting Fate, I believe, will give me a much easier time to allow me to focus on my goals, especially with the content that I want to tackle most. So like I can combo those up with necromancy to make my grinds absolutely brainless, and I think I would need that after a draining day of work. Like yes, okay, I'm on my feet all day. I deserve to sit down and just turn off my brain. And speaking of work, I was thinking about this relic a bit too and some of the potentials about it. Like there's this aspect here that says prayer points no longer drain, which gives it a bit of utility. Although it's limited, I think it's worth talking about. Hey, so let's look at this combat relic here. Crit happens. How there's only a chance to save runes in combat. There's no mention of how the prayer drain only works while in combat. So I should have infinite prayer everywhere. If we go back to the passives here, we unlock ancient curses, and furthermore we lock Siren spells and prayers. Siren spells and prayers. Let's take a look at some of those. So here we have light form. This is a great one to use in combination with Siren aligned spells. So thinking about like crystallize, which will give you more experience from gathering sites, crystal mask to prevent getting caught from pickpocketing. There's also this one here. So yeah, this is superheat form, and I can just keep it on at all times. Combined with like an auto heater for coal, and I can just spit AFK completely as well. There's also this prayer chronicle attraction. Pretty interesting how it says it turns chronicle fragments into enhanced ones. I'm not sure the Divination Relic will do that already, but this is something that's worth turning on to. Unfortunately, now that I'm looking at it, there's a lot of overlap when it comes to these prayers as well with my own relic picks, but this is all the way at tier 7 anyways. Like right here, automatically burning logs. So yeah, I did say that the utility is limited, but it is there. Maybe it would come in handy if, let's look at prayers, like regular ones. I'm not sure. You can probably hold a redemption on at all points. I don't know if there's any like content that just drains your health constantly where redemption could be useful. Because, alright, I did say I played League since the very first one, so go back to Twisted League, I had a combination of Dark Altar Devotion and Xerx's Resilience, right? So these are like prayer related relics. As a fun fact, I also picked Rune's Powers in this leagues. That's also prayer related. So maybe for me, I just had this affinity with like prayer related stuff. But here, Xerx's Resilience gives me a prayer restore every 3.6 seconds. I kind of wish I didn't pick Treasure Seeker and went Spirits of Din instead, because I did a lot of Wintertot content. Wintertot being a scaling boss which slowly drains your health points at the time. So I had redemption on constantly, and it was pretty funny. So I guess what this means is I could just hold redemption over my head at all costs. You know, just throw my hearts out there. Well, anyways, since we're now looking at the regular prayer book, we can combo up this fantastic perk of how protection prayers will also have soul split enabled as well, meaning that I could just stay on the regular prayer book, and this can help subsidize a lot of the DPS that I missed out on while not selecting Ascension or Specialist. For example, Divine Rage here is one such prayer that can stack up with a lot of other relics. So we have all the Piety relics. I can also have Eclipse Soul too. And this is an overhead, I believe, not a protection prayer, but what I can do with Eclipse Soul is I could just flick it between protection prayers so that I can get the soul split and then a little bit even more healing or damage with Eclipse Soul. So I don't think I'll be missing too much because I got a nice little buff right there. Furthermore, with all the sustain from my protection prayers, I'm thinking I could maybe combo it up with Reflect Defense. So right here, Reflect. So say I use Greater Bone Shield. Now with a standard protection prayer, I can also just reflect stuff back as well. Lastly, if we go back to the list of things that I got here of my prayers, there's one you can unlock from Dungeoneering, Rapid Renewal, which allows life points to be restored. And if I get a Constitution cape right here, then I can have some health recovery while I'm in the middle of battle too, just kind of adding on to the amount of healing that I get. So yes, this is yet another prayer that I can hold on indefinitely. There's a lot of potential that can be met with Everlasting Fate. That stuff to me sounds pretty cool, pretty cheesy, and thus I'll be locking this one in. So yep, those are all of my relic picks. So we want to see the greater picture again. Got out the Callous Relic Picker. We got Divine Woodcutter, Golden Footed, Fairy's Flight, Production Master, Soulborn, Banker's Note, and Everlasting Fate. Yeah, it's still a pretty weird set of relics to look at, but yeah, it definitely makes sense when I say that I'm going to be skilling a lot more. And looking at what I got here, I think maxing won't really be too much of an issue at all. I can't wait to set my plan in motion and do all the things that I talked about with these relics. Just so much potential and fun right there. A lot of outside the box thinking as well. following absolutely no metas, just playing the game how I'm playing it. I'm going to be able to discover so much playing RuneScape 3 this way. I'm very excited to grind. I'm happy that I'm making it easier for myself too. With that being said, thank you all for watching up to this point. Don't know how much Catalyst stuff I'll be uploading. This is one of my first uploads to this channel in a very long time. So stay tuned everyone to see what happens next.